Hey everyone, so I'm trying a different approach to make educational videos. As you might be aware of, all this time I have been making videos, national issues and important topics. I'm trying this because what I've realized is most of the content is available on the internet in fact, and it is not just presented in a good way. So this is one of my different approach that I'm trying to present factual data in a good way, in a comprehensive way, so that defense aspirants like me don't have to scratch every website and they have one place to go. I'm talking about especially everything about Indian Air Force because it aligns with my goal of joining it, and I believe it is one of a good way for me to have a good revision of it. So let's talk about Indian Air Force. So what we'll be covering in this is a basic introduction, what are the roles and responsibilities, what was the previous history and the operation that our Air Force has conducted in the past, the current structure and the different commands coming under it, the different branches, the workflow, how different branches of the Air Force work together during operations, the rank structure and its comparison with the Army and the Navy, the strength of our Air Force, the different institutions, the training centers, how an individual can join both as an officer and as an airman, and lastly the different Air Force exercises with other nations. So let's jump into the introduction part. Air Force is the air arm of our Indian Air Force. It is one of the most important arm. Any airspace, if you say right now, Navy has been very important since history, but Air Force has taken its place when it comes to strategic importance because the warfare has been shifted from conventional Navy and in the waters to in the airspace. Talking about the motto of our Air Force, it is Navam Shaptam Deeptam, which means touching the sky with glory. It is a quote from Gita, and the insignia of Air Force contains the trademark Indian emblem, the lion and the eagle. Eagle is not our national bird. Here eagle signifies the air superiority and dominance in the airspace, and here as you can see is the motto of our Air Force. The President is the supreme commander of our Air Force. The Air Force is headed by 4-star rank officer. Moving to the roles and responsibilities, there are different roles when it comes to peacetime, and it is the majority part. Very rarely we got into conflict with other nations, and accordingly the responsibilities shifts. So the basic responsibility is to safeguard the Indian airspace, secure it from the adversaries, to collaborate with the other armed forces, the Army, Navy and sometimes the internal security forces for military operations in peacetime and in wartime both, to carry out combat strikes and retaliation when needed, as been done in 2019, the Balakot airstrike, Operation Bandar. Then the air reconnaissance and surveillance. The point is not just to fight the enemy when the enemy arrives, it's also to make sure that enemy is stayed at bay. Our adversary is not closing in, it is not preparing for any strategy. So that's one of the key responsibility, to surveil the whole airspace and to make sure that the adversary stays away. Then there is to prepare for war against adversary through operations. In the normal sorties, what a pilot do or what the ground staff do is to prepare for different operations. We carry out different exercise both within our armed forces discipline with the Army and the Navy, and with the Air Force of other countries as well, to prepare for war whenever it happen, if it may happen. Airlift and dropping in strategic location, as I mentioned, they work in collaboration with the other armed forces. So like it was done in the 1984 Operation Meghdoot in the Siachen, they collaborated with the Army to capture the Siachen heights. It is one of the primary aim. Airlifting and airdropping is also done during humanitarian missions, like during the Uttarakhand flood in 2013. Air Force was very crucial in evacuating a large sum of people. Thousands of people were evacuated. Lastly, it take part in UN peacekeeping missions. As you know, we have different missions in different countries, in DRC, Dominican Republic of Congo, and other missions in different nations, and the Air Force play a very crucial part in active participation in these missions. Next, moving on to a little history. The Air Force was, as in the start, was an auxiliary Air Force to the Royal Air Force of the British Dominion, and it was made on 8th October, and coincidentally this is also the Air Force Day that we celebrate every day in 1932. After that, we participated in the Second World War. As you might be aware of, we were fighting against the Germans, the Japanese and their allies, and we carried out operations in Burma, in Indonesia and eastern part. And for that, in 1945, Royal Tag was given to the Indian Air Force, which at that time was a huge privilege. But in 1950, as we became independent and a republic, we dropped that tag and we became what we call now as the Indian Air Force. We have taken part in 4 wars that we fought with Pakistan, and not in the war that we fought with China in 62. As you might be aware, it was the efforts of our then PM Jawaharlal Nehru to stay away, and he was oblivious of the fact that the Chinese were being aggressive at the border. So moving forward, here is a list of all the major operations that are conducted by the Air Force. Operation Vijay in 61, it was for the liberation of Daman and Diu and Goa. As you might be aware, we were not independent till 1961. These locations were in control of the Portuguese, and with the help of IAF, we got independence from them in that locations. Then in 71, Bangladesh Liberation War, we carried out Operation Cactus Lily. In 1984, Operation Meghdut, as I mentioned, in the Siachans to capture the strategic heights. Operation Pumlai and Operation Pavan during the civil war in Sri Lanka, to provide humanitarian aid, to provide support to the Tamil communities living there. Operation Safed Sagar in 1919 during the Kargil war, and then Operation Bandar, the recent Balakot airstrike. So these were the glimpse of all the operations the Air Force has taken part in. Next, moving on to the basic structure and the different commands in our Air Force. So the structure has been divided into different operational commands, under which there are various bases. Under these bases there are various wings, and then there are various squadrons. Each squadron has different flights, and each flight has different sections. There is also one thing called the forward base support unit, which act as a temporary base and a permanent base during wartime. Coming to the command structure, we have in total 7 commands under the Air Force. 5 of them are operational commands, under which there are bases, and 2 of them are functional commands. They are located all over India. There is no northern command for the Air Force. Alright, then there is in Delhi we have the Western Command. In Gandhinagar we have the Southwestern Command. In Allahabad we have the Central Command. In Shillong we have the Eastern Command, and in Thiruvananthapuram we have the Southern Command. Apart from that, we have 2 functional commands. One is a training command in Bangalore, and another is the maintenance command in Nagpur. We have in total of 60 Air Force bases. We have 47 wings. These wings are the intermediate between the squadrons and the Air Force, and each wing has 2 or 3 squadrons in it, and some FBSU that I have mentioned, forward base support unit. Then there are 30 squadrons. We are well short of the required squadrons. According to experts, we should have been 42 squadrons, but due to late defense acquisitions and the aging fleets, we are well short of the squadron, and we are working toward filling the void. Then each squadron has different flights, and each of them are headed by a different rank officer, as we will go on and see that. Then let's talk about the branches and the ranks. So talking about the branches, there are mainly 3 branches in the Indian Air Force. We have the flying branch. These are the pilots, not just the fighter jet pilots, but fighter jets. We have the helicopters, we have the transport aircrafts. All of these pilots, they come under the flying branch. Then we have technical branch. These are the main backbone that helps in the operations that a pilot carry out during regular sortie or during any mission, and they make sure that all the electronic system, the fly-by-wire system, the HOTAS, all of them are working in coordination. They are all well equipped, and before a pilot takes off, they have a very crucial role to play. Then we have the ground duty, and this ground duty is a multispectral subject. We have this various categories in this. We have the administration, we have logistics, we have meteorological, we have education, we have medical, and we have accounts. These are the different ground duty sub-branches. Then moving on to the special forces, the Air Force has a different unit of the special forces called the Garud Commandos. It was established in 2004 after the Air Force attack in northern sector, that we realized that the Air Force need a separate special forces command to safeguard its critical infrastructure and to defend its air bases. So that's how Garud Commando was established, and today we have almost 1.6 to 1.7k Garud Commandos. To become a Garud Commando, unlike the Para SF and the Marcos Commando, the special forces unit of the Army and the Navy, the Garud Commandos can be joined directly, and for that we have the selection procedure. One of is from as a non-officer, and second as an officer. As an officer, you will be joining only if you join the ground branch, the ground duty branch. That's because flying and technical, both of them are a very specific and well-trained skill set based programs, and a whole lot of expense and technical expertise gone into training them. So in that matter, the people serving in the flying and technical, they are not pushed toward joining the Garud Commando force. It's not that they are not capable, but it's just the fact that different people are there to perform different operation, and when the time comes, all of them perform in synergy to carry out the overall mission and to have an upper hand over the adversary. Next we move on to the rank structure. As you can see here, you can easily compare with the different ranks of the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force. These are what we call the strips on the shoulders, and we got the strips on the shoulders and the stars on the collars. That's what we say, the pride. Now, as I was telling you in the structure, the command structure, that the operation, the Air Chief Marshal, he is the head of the Air Force. He is the chief. Then we have the rank of Air Marshal, who is the head of the operational commands. So we have 5 operational commands, and each of them is headed by an Air Marshal rank officer. Then you have the bases, and bases is heading by a Air Commodore. Then each base we have a wing and different squadrons. So a group captain is the head of each base, and all the operations come under his domain. Then we have the field unit and formation under the squadrons, which is headed by a wing commander. Then the flight part, the subcategory under the domain of the squadrons and the field units, they are headed by a squadron leader, and there are multiple sections in the flight part, which is headed by a flight lieutenant. Coming to the most important part, the strength of our Indian Air Force. The Indian Air Force is the 4th largest in the world, and we are moving forward to become one of the most powerful in the world. We have a total strength of 280,000 personals. Half of them are in active services, and we have a total of 30 squadrons, and we have 1800 plus aircrafts, including the transport aircraft, the helicopters, all the different aircrafts. We have what we call UAVs, the drones. We have the air defense systems to safeguard from the adversary and their attacks. We have different missiles, we have radars, and we have... Let's talk about each one of them briefly. In the aircraft section, we have basically 3 types of aircrafts. We have the transport aircraft. Under this we have the major important aircraft are the Illinois 76 and 78. Both are transport aircrafts, and they are also used for refueling. Then we have the Lockheed Martin's C-130J Super Hercules. Then we have the C-17 Globemaster. We have the AN-32. We have the Embraer, the Brazilian aircraft used by VVIPs. Recently we are in the process of acquiring Airbus C-295 in collaboration with the Spanish firm and Tata. Then we have under the helicopter section, we have three kinds of helicopters. We have the attack helicopter, we have the transport helicopter, we have the utility helicopter. So in attack helicopter, what we have is the Rudra, which is the attack variant of the Hull Dhruv. We have the American acquired AH-64 Apache. We have the Mi-35, Mi-25 Russian, and we have the light combat aircraft, indigenous product. Then in transport, we have the Chinook, another US import. We have the Mi-17 V5, and in utility we have the Hull Dhruv, we have the Cheetah, the Chetal, and we have the Chetak. All of them are obsolete now and in the process of replacement. And we have the Kamov K-226 Russian aircraft. Lastly, these are the two categories. The third category is the fighter jet, which I'll be explaining here. In the fighter jet, again we have different categories. We have the light combat aircraft. In this we have the Tejas, both Mark 1 and Mark 1A. Then we have the again single engine Mirage 2000. Then we have the medium combat aircraft. In this category we have the Rafale, the very famous. We have Tejas Mark II, which is in the process of taking its first flight. We have the MiG-21, the infamous backbone. We have the future MCA, advanced medium combat aircraft. And then we move on to the heavy combat aircraft. We have the Sukhoi 30 under this. And there are also different category of aircraft, what we call strike aircrafts, that have different responsibility to play. They provide close support. And in this we have the Jaguar, and one of them we also had, which is currently decommissioned, the MiG-27, what we also call Bahadur. And then we have the UAVs or unmanned aerial vehicles. We have in this the Heron, Harap, and we have the Searcher. We also have the Harpy. All of them are Israeli. Then we also have the last year acquired MQ-9B, the US drone by the Indian Navy. And apart from that, we have the we are working on the Switch drone. It is a vertical takeoff and landing drone, VTOL. Then there are also indigenous build drones. We have the Rustam, we have the Tapas, that what we also calling Rustam 2. We have the Pavan, we have the Imperial Eagle. This is used by the paramilitary forces and internal defense forces. We have and also currently the Prime Minister in United States, he met with the General Atomic CEO, and possibly we'll be having a deal of Predator, the drones of the United States, which had a history of carrying out different operations. Apart from that, we are also working on what we call the UCAVs, unmanned combat aerial vehicle, and in this we are working on Ghatak, our indigenous. We also have different examples of different nations having UCAVs. We have the Turkey-made Bayraktars. We have the B-2 bomber. We have H-20 from Chinese. So all of them come under the UAV categories. Next we have the air defense system. Now we are currently in the process of procuring what we are calling the S-400 air defense system from Russia, and we have its child S-200 already in our service. Apart from that, we have a different air defense system. We have the Akash system, we have the aerial defense AAD, then we have the 9K-33 OSA Russian made. We have the Strela, We have Pichora. We also have Stinger. Then we have the Barricade and Spider. So all of these are the advanced air defense system India has currently. Next we have missiles. Missiles has a huge history. I'll be sharing a photo in which there are a lot of missiles that India is working on, and we are way forward when it comes to missile developments, way forward than other countries as well. We have the BrahMos that are key highlight. We have the Astra. We are working on different versions of Agni. We have the Prithvi missile. We have the Dhanush missile. We have the Barak 1 and 8 with Israel. We have the K4, K15, the submarine missiles. Then we have the Akash air-to-air missiles. We have different. We have the Rudram, the anti-radiation missile. We have nuclear missiles. So our missiles technology has been quite under development for some time, and we are moving forward with that. Then we talk about the radars. Again, radars play a very crucial role both in air defense and in air superiority. It takes part indirectly conflict with the enemy. We have the AESA radar, the Indian made Uttam. AESA stands for Active Electronically Seamed Array Radar. They have different kinds of different spectrum of being thrown at once. They are resistant to jamming, they are reliable and independent, and they work in multi-mode operations. They have low interceptability. Then we have the Indra radar. We have Rajendra radar on the Akash defense system. Then there are Ashwini. We have Arudhara, and there are different radars on different aircrafts. Apart from that, the highlight is Swordfish. These are long distance radars. Then lastly we have weapons. In weapons there are different categories. We have the bombs, rockets, for example the Spice 2000 bomb used in Balakot airstrike. We have laser guided bombs as well. We have the CAB 1500L. We have the GBU 16. We have Sudarshan bomb, and apart from that we have the RBK 500. We have what we call the glide bomb. Then rocket as well. We have the S85 rockets, S8 rockets, S24 rockets. So these are all the weapons, especially they are in the aircraft fighter jets to fight the adversary. Now we talk about the different training institutions. As you can see in the photo, there are different institutions for different training. After as an officer, if you go, you have the chance of joining the Indian Air Force Academy. Then for flying school, you go to the Hickam Pit for helicopter training, and you go for Air Force Technical College if you have opted for technical branch. We have the different fixed wing flying college. We have the navigational training for ATC and the technical branches. We have the basic flying training school in Allahabad. Apart from that, there are 4 ways to join, 3 of them as an officer and 1 of them as an airman. These are non-commissioned officers, and to join them the first 3 are different exam conducted, and for the airman we have the Group X, Group 5 exam. Go on, join the Air Force. They are waiting for you. They are waiting for officers. Now lastly we'll talk about the defense exercises that India participate in with the different nations. We have the Garuda exercise with France, our ally, long time ally. We have the Avia Indra with our oldest ally Russia. We have the Desert Eagle with the UAE. We have the Shinomitri with Japan. We have the Blue Flag with Israel. We have the Eastern Bridge with Oman. We have the Red Flag with the United States. We have the Joint Military Exercise with the Singapore. We have Tiger Triumph, again a joint exercise again with the United States. We have the Pitchback exercise hosted by Australia, multilateral exercise, and we have the Austria-Hind. This is hosted by India for Australia and other countries. So this pretty much sums the entire discussion about the Indian Air Force. I hope you get a holistic view of what you were looking for in this discussion, and do let me know if I have left something, and please share your feedback. If you find value in this video, please share it. Thanks for watching. Jai Hind. Peace.